All right, so I had to do an emergency episode for this today because what happened today, I mean, I had to drop everything to do this because I don't do off the record episodes two times in a row. But it's, it's just what happened today. What the president said, it should be alarming to everybody. Okay, so, and I'm going to reiterate, this is not a drill. This isn't Twitter rumor. This isn't out of context nonsense. This is not me being a liberal cuck who's trying to get clicks. No, 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 no. This came straight from Donald Trump's mouth today. Donald Trump just said he will consider pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. Let me say that again, slowly. The President of the United States, who is already at the center of a firestorm of revelations surrounding Jeffrey Epstein, child sex trafficking, and cover-ups, is now saying that Ghislaine Maxwell might deserve a pardon. I'm sorry, what? Let's pretend. Let's stop pretending that this is normal. Let's stop pretending that this is just Trump being Trump. No, this is a calculated. This is a test. This is him floating something horrific into the public just to see who reacts, just to see who will defend it, just to see how far the rod can spread before somebody or anybody pushes back. So now, here I am and here you are. And we're having this emergency conversation because we can't let this go unanswered. This is the woman who groomed, manipulated, and trafficked children, not adults, children. Girls, some as young as 14 years old. And she was found guilty in federal court. She had a chance to speak up, to name names, to tell the truth, and she didn't. She protected power. She protected predators. And now Trump is out there here trying, like throwing out the idea of a pardon. For what? For loyalty? This isn't about justice. This is about silence. Because let's be real. If Ghislaine Maxwell talks, a whole lot of people will fall. And I want you to think about this. Who benefits from protecting Maxwell? Because it's sure as hell isn't the survivors. It's not the victims. It's not the girls who were used, discarded, and ignored by the system for decades. No, 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 no. The people who are going to benefit from this are the rich and the connected. The same kind of men who've been protected by for the system for generations. And Trump's history with Epstein, it's long, it's well documented, and is damn suspicious. They partied together. Trump hosted him. There are photos. There are quotes. Hell, Trump once called Epstein a terrific guy and said they both like women on the younger side. And that's not me making something up. That's a direct quote from Trump. So now, fast forward 2 decades, and you've got this same man in the highest office making noise about pardoning the woman who helped Epstein run one of the largest sex trafficking rings in this country has ever seen. What message does that send? Seriously, what the hell kind of country are we trying to be if this is even considered okay with, like, is this okay now? Because if you're someone who cares about children and actually cares, not just when it's politically convenient, then you should be screaming right now. You should be calling your representatives, flooding the headlines, making noise everywhere you can. Because this is crossing the line. And if you're someone who believes survivors, and I hope you are, then this is spitting in their faces. This is saying your trauma doesn't matter if it makes powerful people uncomfortable. This is what institutions do when they want to protect themselves, not the people they've harmed. It's the church, it's Hollywood, it's DC. It's the same pattern every fucking time. Silence the victims, protect the predators, preserve the power. And now Trump's taking a step further. Not just silence. He wants to reward the silence. A pardon is a reward. It's a thank you. It's a wink and a nod to say, you did good. You keep your mouth shut. That's what this is. And if you're listening to this and thinking, well, maybe he didn't mean it. Stop. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's testing the water. He's baiting the press. He's trying to shift the overtone window one shocking statement at a time. Because every time he floats something outrageous, From pardoning war criminals to siding with white nationalists to defend sexual abusers, he gets normalized. If no one calls it out, it becomes reality. So we're calling it out. Of course, we always do. Not one, not on some mainstream news channel, not with a polished script or fake outrage. This pissed me off like so much, and it made my heart like beat faster than usual and my blood boil. And no, you're not. You're hearing this raw because this moment deserves the kind of truth. Because this isn't politics anymore. This is about what kind of world we're going to live in. What kind of country protects billionaires and traffickers, but jails the survivors or the whistleblowers? What kind of president even considers partnering a convicted sex trafficker? And let's not forget, Ghislaine Maxwell isn't some isolated monster. She's the cog in the machine. The same machine that tells girls to be quiet, that tells survivors to move on, that tells you and me to justice is only for the powerful, and the rest of us are just collateral. I know I'm not calm today. I'm not professional today. I'm fucking furious about this because this is the moment we were chosen again to either accept the injustice or fight it. Either speak up or stay complicit. Either shine a light on it or let the shadow win. So welcome to my show again. If this is the first time you've been in this, in my show, my podcast, you will realize that I get very animated at times, I do everything fact-based. I don't do anything that hasn't been researched. All right, let's keep going for a second. So let's get into this, guys. It's because we can just scream into this void without actual facts. We can't just say this is wrong without showing exactly why. So let's start where this all begins. Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, if you don't know the details, if you only heard this name in headlines or maybe from memes, buckle up because what Ghislaine Maxwell was involved, it isn't just dark. It's also systemic. Ghislaine was born into wealth and influence. Her father, Robert Maxwell, was a British media mogul and suspected intelligence asset who mysteriously died or drowned in 1991 after a massive financial scandals. After his death, well, Ghislaine conveniently relocates to New York. That's when she gets close with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm not calling him a financier anymore. The child rapist is what I'm going to call him from now on. With no clear source of wealth, no banking license, no legitimate fund records, but somehow surrounded by the richest people on the planet. Now, Ghislaine didn't just date Epstein. She worked with him. She enabled him. She's been called his partner, madam, fixer, coordinator. Prosecutors say she helped identify and groom young girls, often under the guise of offering modeling or education opportunities. She built their trust. She made them feel safe, and then she delivered them to Epstein. Some of these girls were as young as 14 years old. Some were abused repeatedly, and it wasn't just Epstein. This was an operation that involved others, powerful men, high places, private islands, private planes, and Ghislaine was the gatekeeper. And she abused some of these girls too. So let's be clear. She wasn't coerced. She was convicted. In 2022, Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty on 5 federal charges, including, here we go, sex trafficking of a minor, transporting a minor with the intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking. And the judge sentenced her to 20 years in prison. Not a lot. Honestly, not enough time. And the evidence was overwhelming. Victim testimony, flight logs, photos, staff statements. And yet, despite all that, despite the trauma, the years of silence, the bravery it took to get that conviction, now Trump is suggesting she could be pardoned? I'll get to it. I need to get the scene set, guys. Anyways, so what exactly did Trump say? Here's the quote from his interview today, July 25th, with a friendly right-wing commentator who asked about Epstein and Ghislaine. And Trump said, and here's the quote: "A lot of people think she was treated very unfairly. I don't know, but I heard that. And if there's ever a reason to look into it, we certainly take a look. You know, there's people who really care about this." Let me break this apart for a second. A lot of people think. Classic Trump language. No specifics. Just a vague claim to avoid accountability. When he says a lot of people think, it's him. He thinks this because he's a fucking pedophile himself. And then the other one. She was treated unfairly. What does that mean? She was convicted in a court of law by a jury based on evidence. That's justice, not unfairness. It's speaking from he's a 34-time felon, so he thinks everything's unfair. Fucking hypocrite. Number 3, we certainly take a look. That's the part. That's the loaded statement, guys. That's him planting the seed of a pardon. A wink to the right people. A message that if you stay quiet, you'll be taken care of. That's some mafia shit right there. And look, this isn't the first time he's played footsie with the idea. Go back to 2020 when he was asked during a White House press conference whether Maxwell will flip on the powerful people she knew. His answer, "I wish her well." I wish her well. That was after she was arrested on child sex trafficking charges. Let's that sink in. And he was like, "I wish everybody well." I'm going to say this. If I found out that one of my best friends is a sexual trafficker and they're arrested, I don't go, "I wish him well." No. I would say, "Oh, he did that? He deserves to be in jail." Anyways, now, why would Trump do this? Why would Trump, a man constantly defending himself as being tough on crime, show any sympathy to a convicted sex trafficker and rapist? Well, let's revisit the Epstein-Trump timeline, because people like to pretend this is just guilt by association. Like they were at the same party once. Like that's what they want to say. No. This goes deeper. Okay? You can't ignore this. Let's go back. 1987. They reportedly meet for the first time, introduced through mutual friends in the elite New York scene. Then we go to 1992. Trump hosts Epstein at Mar-a-Lago for a party where the only guests were himself and Epstein and 28 young women. Let me rephrase this. Oh, not rephrase. Let me repeat this. Trump hosts Epstein, just Epstein and himself, at a party at Mar-a-Lago that the only guests were Epstein and Trump and 28 young women. Yes, that's real. It was reported by the New York Times and later confirmed in court records. Like, how the fuck did not be... Anyways, then 97 to 2005. 8 years total. They were photographed together numerous times. Flight logs show Trump was listed as a passenger on Epstein's private plane. And then this other Republican senator, whatever his name is, he goes, "Well, sometimes rich people, their planes break down, so they hitch a ride." Yeah. That means the Trump's plane broke down multiple times. How convenient. Yeah. Oh, I need to go to... Oh, Jeffrey, I need to go to Ireland. But let me make a quick stop at your island for a second. Yeah, that makes reasonable. Anyways, and then... in 2002, Trump tells the New York Magazine that famous quote, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side." I keep saying this, like, on the younger side. That's why there's not a throwaway line. That's a red flag written in permanent marker because he loves permanent markers. Have you seen his signature? It looks like pubic hair. Ugh. Now, some defenders say Trump distanced himself from Epstein once the allegations surfaced in the mid-2000s. But the truth is more complicated. Records show that they were still in contact even after Epstein's 2008 sweetheart deal, where he was convicted in Florida but served just 13 months in a cushy private wing of a county jail. A deal so shady that the Department of Justice later admitted it violated victims' rights under the Crime Victims' Rights Act. And guess what? The deal was brokered by Alexander Acosta, who later became Trump's labor secretary, until he resigned under pressure once the Epstein scandal reignited in 2019. So yeah, this isn't just Trump and Epstein knew each other situation. This is Trump elevated the people who helped Epstein get away. And now with Ghislaine Maxwell in prison and the Epstein files leaking more names every week, he's floating the pardon. You can't make this shit up. And let's talk about the silence. Why would Ghislaine not flip? Why would she not name names? We know Epstein kept logs, photos, tapes, leather-bound birthdays with naked women drawings and Donald Trump's signature somewhere. It called him his best friend. Oh, God, it gets so bad. And he documented everything. He weaponized information. So it's not unreasonable to believe Ghislaine has access to the same files, right? Or knows exactly where they are. And yet, no names. No major political or financial heads have fallen. The full Epstein client list, still not public. The most explosive connection, still redacted or buried. Why? Because if she talks, the entire illusion of elite innocence crumbles. Oh, so here comes Trump, floating the idea of a pardon, testing the water, sending a signal to her and everyone who might talk. This is how it works. This is how powerful protect themselves. You think it's about guilt or innocence? No. It's about loyalty. It's about silence. It's about saying, take the fall, we'll take care of you later. Sounds like very Tony Soprano, right? Because it is. It's this mafia stuff. And this is not just corruption. This is institutional rot. From the justice system, to the right-wing media, to the politicians, to the Wall Street, to Hollywood, to churches. Yes, even churches. We're watching the exact same playbook being used over and over and over again to protect the worst people imaginable. And here's the Republican Party. Oh, I don't think he did it. Oh, why are you doing this? Oh, you're just attacking them. Oh, all right. So let's be absolutely clear here. A pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell will not be about mercy. It's about a political reward. It will be a payoff for silence. And it will be a spit in the face to every single survivor of abuse and trafficking who has ever had to scream just to be believed. And if this president and this government even flirts with that idea, then they're not just complicit. They are part of the ring. They are part of the system that enables it. And if we don't make noise, if we stay quiet because it's too dark or too complicated or too uncomfortable, then we're giving up the fight. This right here is bigger than politics, guys. This is bigger than, well, it's not bigger. Yeah, this is bigger than Trump. This is what kind of justice we believe in. Because if powerful men can traffic children by silence, get sweetheart deals, and walk away with presidential pardons, then don't ever tell me again that we're a nation of laws. This country protects predators now. This is not a conspiracy theory. That's not a hyperbole. That's the truth, plain and simple. And you can see it in real time today, right now. Mike Johnson calling Congress early for summer vacation as soon as the Wall Street Journal started leaking information. Convenient, right? Of course, it's a cover-up. Because he said, we want to give the President Trump time to think, to breathe. For what? Breathe for what? Then we have this guy, Mark Wade Mullen. Oh, beautiful senator, Oklahoma. Piece of shit as well. Who was on the Senate floor saying, literally he said, that they're blocking it because they want to work on a cover-up. Okay. So anyways, it's just bad. And this, if you're still listening to this, here's what I want you to take from this. This is not over. Ghislaine Maxwell isn't just a side note. She is the main dish right here. The Epstein case is still unfolding, still being covered up, and still dangerous for the elite. We need to keep naming names, guys. We need to demand the full Epstein files be made public. The Republicans wasted so many of their years, and now they're trying to save themselves. Now the Democrats are like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Well, Bill Clinton's in it. I don't give a shit. Go ahead. Do it. And then they said, well, Biden. It's like, no. The FBI director at that time was appointed by Trump. Do you really think he was going to not release stuff that was going to make his dear leader bad? No. Of course he didn't. Anyways, it's like, It's like we need to stop accepting this nothing to see here response from the press and the politicians, because there is something to see and they're terrified we might look. All right, so I recorded the last segment, and then there was another thing notification that I got, and I'll tell you why. And some of it might be repetitive, but I'll tell you this is important as well. So, if you think Trump floating the idea of pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell was some random off the cuff moment, man, let me tell you what just happened. Because this man doesn't just speak; he tests the water. He always does. He throws things out there to see what sticks, to see how far he can go, and to see who will cover for him. And here we go again. Now, if you're like, oh, he never does it, have you listened to his campaign rallies? He would throw lines to his cult believers to say like, oh, Mexico will pay for the, and if it works, he will make it work. He'll make it more. He'll use it more and more and more. That he's a reactive person. Okay, so let's talk what's happening right now in the news. And then I want to break down what I think the playbook looks like. Because if you know anything about Trump, you know this isn't just his first PR scandal. Come on. He's not just reacting. He's planning the next few moves. So let's start with the headlines, just in the last few hours. And a shout out to the folks who've been keeping me updated on this. Because I have Reuters, I have Wall Street Journal, I have Washington Post, New York Times, MSNBC, NBC, CNN. I'm watching everything. And they're putting a piece saying Trump has, Reuters put out a piece saying Trump has officially considered clemency for Maxwell. But then he adds, he's allowed to, but it's something I haven't thought about it. Haven't thought about it? Sure, whatever you say. You just happened to mention it in a national interview. No big deal, right? Then you got The Guardian reporting that Maxwell gave a 2-day interview with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Yeah, the same Blanche who used to be Trump's personal lawyer for the Stormy Daniels lawsuit. The one that Trump lost. Oh my God, it gets better. And after that, suddenly Trump says, this isn't the time to talk about pardons. Oh, now is not the time. Oh, of course, why not? Because the news cycles got too loud, or because your team told you to walk it back, or because you bribed Maxwell for a pardon in those 2-day interviews. Because he did. And then here's what it gets really shady. The Daily Beast ran with a piece about a possible hidden pardon deal. Like Trump might be dangling the idea behind the scenes. You stay quiet, you keep me out of it, and we'll talk about clemency. Is there hard proof of that? No, but it's impossible. But it is not impossible, knowing this track record. Not even close. Even Maxwell's own lawyer, according to Newsweek, said that he'll welcome any relief, but they haven't been offered anything yet. So what does that tell you? We're watching a PR strategy unfold in real time. Trump is testing the waters. He's not committing, but he's absolutely planting the seed. And just like always, he's going to try and come out looking like the good guy. The law and order guy, while quietly protecting himself and his people, mainly him. I wonder if this is why Melania hates him. Like, what if, Melania was a gift from Epstein? And that's why we don't see them, because she was probably trafficked. Traffic is her. Anyways, that's terrible to say, but... So anyways, let me walk you through how I think Trump will spend this, because we've seen it hundreds of times. Step 1, deny it, but leave the door open. That's where we are now. He says, I haven't thought about it, but then reminds everyone he could do it. That's him playing both sides, acting like he's not involved while keeping the idea alive. It's like dangling keys in front of a baby. Distract, confuse, stall. He does this constantly. Next move, point fingers everywhere but himself, of course. He's already doing this too. In a follow-up, Trump said, I'll give you a list of names more connected to Epstein than me. He starts naming people, Clinton, Bill Gates, Harvard donors, hedge fund guys. He's basically saying, I'm not the problem, they are. And saying that Obama did this too. Oh my gosh. It's classic Trump. If he's in trouble, he drags as many people into the mud with him as he can. That way everyone looks dirty and nobody gets held accountable. And honestly, sadly it works. Because then the headlines shift to, shift. Like now it's not just Trump and Maxwell, it's who else was on the Epstein list. And while that is a conversation worth having, he's weaponizing it to deflect heat from himself. Then it comes the voice of reason routine. Just watch. He'll start saying stuff like this. You can quote me on this. You can clip it. You can go back to this. I want you to remember these words. Ready? Here's one. We're looking at everything carefully. He will say that. No, justice has to be blind. He will say this somehow. I don't want to pardon someone unless I know for sure they've been wrong. He'll say it. I know he will. Suddenly he's a responsible one, the fair one, the guy who's not rushing into anything. And people fall for it. They always do. And they forget what he just said, that he might pardon a convicted sex trafficker who's sitting on a mountain of names that could sink him. It's like watching a magician do sleight of hands, and too many folks are focused on the wrong hand. And here's my least favorite one. My least favorite move. Make himself the victim. He'll say, they're using this Maxwell stuff to come after me. Or, this is all part of the deep state trying to smear my name. He turns the story into his persecution and not about the victims or Epstein and Maxwell. Let me say that again. He'll take a story about child trafficking, grooming, and decades of abuse and make it about himself because everything is always about this fucking moron. And if that doesn't work, he'll flip the script completely. We've seen him do this before. He might pull a redemption arc. He might say, if Ghislaine flips and tells the truth, maybe she deserves a second chance. Boom. Suddenly he's a guy rooting for justice. And the media, they eat that shit up. Mom. That's what they want. Especially conservative media. Let's be honest. Fox, Newsmax, and even and Twitter, they are already running cover for him. They're acting like this is some witch hunt or like Maxwell's sentence was too harsh. Newsmax was amazing about this. Oh my gosh. I don't remember which anchor from Newsmax who said that Maxwell was the victim. What the fuck are we doing here? And Charlie Kirk did the same thing. He's saying that there was some fishy situation going on in her case, that she's actually a victim. What the fuck? And I know I have people and family members who actually listen to the right-wing conservatives, and they probably listen to this and they're like, why are you talking about me like this? Because you're falling for the fucking predators. Okay. Like, and I'm not kidding. We've seen headlines about she's suffering in prison. Like, excuse me? She was the architect of a trafficking ring. Don't tell me about her unfair treatment. What is the goal here? Why float a pardon at all? Simple, because it sends a message to Maxwell, to other cool conspirators, to anybody holding damaging information. Stay quiet, stay loyal, and I'll protect you. It's a mafia move. It's not new. It's not even subtle. It's just dirtier because it's happening in public and nobody's stopping it. And while all this is happening, while the right-wing noise machine is spinning into some Clinton distraction or liberal smear job, survivors are watching. Victims of Epstein and Maxwell are watching, and they're being told once again, your pain is less important than protecting powerful men. That's why this matters. It's not just about Trump being gross. That's all news. We know he's gross. It's about the entire system bending over backwards to make him look like the good guy while letting survivors get pushed aside. He's a fucking rapist. How many times do we need to do this song and dance? He's a sexual assaulting, a rapist, and a con artist. If Trump gets away with this narrative control, if he can go from maybe I'll pardon a sex trafficker to I'm just trying to be fair and balanced, then we're in trouble, guys. I mean, we're in more trouble than it's like when he got elected the second time. Like that was peak terrible. Even the first time. Oh my gosh. Anyways, because that means the media strategy work. That means justice is just for sale. Again. And it means anyone with enough money and media reach can rewrite their own fucking crimes into a redemption arc. It's like we don't look away. We don't get caught in the both sides trap. There are not two sides to this. A convicted sex trafficker does not deserve a pardon, period. And a man with as many connections to Epstein as Trump should be under investigation, not floating clemency. Second, we need to keep calling this what it is, distraction and manipulation. He's trying to control the story. So let's take it back. We'll talk about the victims. We'll talk about the files. We demand transparency. We stop letting powerful men hide behind the whataboutism and phony denials. Because if we let this slide, if the story becomes how unfairly Trump is being treated instead of how Ghislaine Maxwell helped destroy lives and got away with it for years, then the machine wins. And look, I get it. The news moves fast. There's always another outrage. But this is one we can't afford to forget. Because this isn't just about Maxwell or Epstein or even Trump. This is about how power protects itself over and over again. Unless we speak up, shine a light, and demand something better, this is how they will do it. And this is how we fight. We need to fight dirty now. Okay, so if you're still with me, thank you. Seriously. Because if you made it through all that outrage, all the spin that Trump is trying to do, like in segments 1 and 2, you already know what time it is. Now we move into the part they don't want you to see. What happens next? Because the moment Trump hinted at a possible pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, everything shifted. And I'm not talking about media coverage or MAGA Twitter. I'm talking about how survivors feel. I'm talking about what this means for the people who have already risked everything to speak up. I'm talking about the legal system, the DOJ, and the consequences that stretch way beyond one headline. Let's start with the legal side. Because at this moment, yeah, I fact-checked this against reporting from CNN, NBC News, and Reuters. The Department of Justice has not confirmed or denied whether Maxwell has named specific individuals in her latest testimony. What we know is that she spent 2 days being interviewed by Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, and that the number of names allegedly shared were somewhere near 100. Now, a lot of legal experts are asking the obvious question. Why hasn't this been made public? And the answer is probably that one that you don't want to hear. Actually, we do want to hear this now at this point. Because protecting reputation matters more than exposing predators. Because if they make it that clear, man, then we can start a revolution at this point. And that's not me being cynical. That's how this game has worked for decades. Remember how long it took for Epstein files to even see the light of day? Remember how many names were redacted? How many flights just didn't get logged correctly? Come on. And now, Trump floats a pardon and puts the whole process under threat. Because here's the thing. When you have mentioned clemency for someone like Maxwell, what you're really saying is, I might interfere. I might erase this, so tread carefully. And let's talk about the survivors now, because this is where the pain really hits. So I was watching MSNBC's Katie Fang last night, and she said something that stuck with me. She said, every time we tell survivors that a powerful person might walk, we're telling them their trauma has an expiration date. And that's exactly what this pardon talk does. It shakes the foundation. Survivors of Epstein and Maxwell already fought through shame, fear, silence, and disbelief. They went up against billionaires, lawyers, and institutions designed to protect abusers. And now they have to sit here and listen to the President of the United States float the idea of letting Maxwell off the hook. Do you know how demoralizing that is? It's not just offensive, it's re-traumatizing these people. These poor women and girls at that time who were raped by Epstein and Trump. And it doesn't just stop there. Let's say Maxwell gets some kind of deal. Even a reduction in sentence. What message does that send to the next survivor who's thinking about coming forward? What does it say to the girl being abused right now by someone rich and powerful? It says, stay quiet, because even if you speak up, the system might not believe you. And even if it does, it won't matter. We cannot let that become the norm. We just can't, guys. And now let's zoom out a little bit. What kind of legal precedent would a pardon of Maxwell set? Think about it. The President of the United States rewarding someone convicted of child trafficking with clemency. That's not just unethical. That's historic in the worst way. I mean, it's just so bad. Like, how is this not impeachable? How is this man not in jail? Anyways, even the Wall Street Journal, even them, they're not exactly a liberal outlet. They publish a column from legal scholars saying this will be an irreversible stain on the rule of law. And they are fucking right. Because here's the danger. If the executive branch can pardon people involved in trafficking rings without consequence, then it becomes part of the playbook. It sets a precedent that silence is currency and power is immunity. So what can we do? First, we pressure lawmakers, Republicans, Democrats, Independents. I don't fucking care. Everyone should be demanding that the DOJ release the fucking transcripts. Fool. Of Maxwell's testimony. No more redactions. No more protecting reputations. If you were in the flight logs, if you were named in the interview, the public deserves to know at this point. We deserve this as Americans. Second, we amplify survivors' voices. Find their statements, share their interviews, watch documentaries like Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich on Netflix, or the BBC's The Survivors Speak. The center the people who were hurt, not the ones being fucking protected. Third, in the next one, we stop treating like this like political gossip. This isn't about 2024 or Trump versus Biden or left versus right. This is about children, kids. This is about human trafficking. This is about a system that lets monsters like Epstein thrive for fucking decades and then turn around and gave his fixer 20 years only in federal prison, just enough to keep her quiet. We have to stay loud. Because silence is how this all happened in the first place. Silence from schools, silence from the press, silence from the prosecutors, silence from survivors who were too afraid to speak because they knew no one will believe them. I don't blame the victims. Never blame the victims. But now we know. We can't pretend anymore. And that means we can't afford to look away. So I'm asking you, if you've listened this far, don't stop here. Call your representatives. Use the 5-star. The 5-star app. It has your representative's number, local and Washington's office. Call them. Be a pest in their lives. Demand transparency. Share this episode. I want you to share this episode with everybody. I don't care. It's not about the clicks. It's about getting your Republican friends to understand that if they're okay with Maxwell being pardoned, they're protecting and they're supporting a pedophile. Anyways, and then talk about what's happening. And if you see someone trying to paint Maxwell as a big pushback, like she's not a victim. She is a rapist, child trafficker. Because the second we let her become the victim, the real victims actually lose. This is the moment right here where we decide if justice is something we actually believe in or just something we say when it's convenient. I know where I stand, and I hope you do too. Because we gotta keep fighting. So this is my last segment of this episode. Is a separate thing from the Jeffrey Epstein and Trump situation, but it has something to do with Trump in some form. Okay, so let's talk about the Jubilee episode. Yes, you know the one I'm talking about. But if you don't, because sometimes some people don't realize, it was the one about the 20 fascists who were debating a journalist, Mehdi Hasan. Okay? And now you know. It's like Jubilee thought that was a good idea to stick Mehdi Hasan, a respected journalist, a Muslim British immigrant. He's an American citizen in the middle of a 20 far right fascist, including one guy who literally called himself a fascist. I'm not being dramatic. That was his word. And you know what? Jubilee let it happen. They let these people spew hate in front of millions of viewers under the banner of conversation. Now, that's not a conversation. That's a setup. That's propaganda. Propaganda. That's all what it is, and they call it content. Okay, so let's start with the one I just mentioned. Let's start with the guy named Connor, because always Connors. The self-described fascist who said on camera he doesn't care people call him a Nazi. He said he supports Carl Schmitt, a literal Nazi theorist. He said it proudly, then he smiled and laughed. Then you have another guy in there, called himself a Catholic nationalist, who defended Francisco Franco, the Spanish dictator, and said, and I quote, "He only killed the communists who raped nuns." I can't believe I'm even repeating that, but that's what he said. These are random trolls. These are people who knew what they were doing, who came in with a plan, and Jubilee let them do it. So let's stop pretending this was a debate. Mehdi wasn't debating ideas. He was standing in the middle of a mob, calmly defending his right to exist while they were questioning his citizenship, his religion, his royalty, his humanity. Sorry, not royalty, his loyalty, and his humanity. This was one of one-man firing squad dressed up as a YouTube content. And it's not just me saying this. People across the board, from Time Magazine to the New Republic, from Reddit to TikTok, they said the same things. This wasn't a discussion, it was a spectacle, and it was dangerous. And what makes it worse is how Jubilee tried to frame this. Like, let's hear all sides. Let's put people with strong views in the same room and see what happens. Yeah, well, what happens is hate gets normalized. What happens is a fascist gets 15 minutes of fame. What happens is the people who are actually impacted, the Mehdis of the world, get re-traumatized. I got traumatized because these people said shit that they told to my face. Like, they go back to your country, frat bro bitch. That motherfucker. You've seen these people on college campuses. These frat bros who will say that. I've seen these. Anyways, and Mehdi said it himself. He said this in an interview with the Bulwark. He walked in expecting tough questions. He didn't expect open fascism. He didn't expect to have to defend his humanity on camera. You should listen to his interview with Tim Miller on the Bulwark. It was tough listen, man. And I want to make something very clear here. These people do not deserve peace. The fascists. They don't deserve a quiet life. They don't deserve platforming. They deserve to be named, called out, and held accountable. Because when you start your sentence with, "I'm a fascist," and end it, "but I'm just here to talk," you already crossed the line. There's no neutral ground with fascism. You're either fighting it or you're helping it spread. And let's talk about the impact this had. Because it's not just about views or clicks. This is kind of content that has consequences. Jubilee gave a microphone to people who literally believe that Muslims, immigrants, and progressives, people like me, people like Mehdi, don't deserve to be here. And they wrapped it up in YouTube polish, dropped some dramatic music on it, and call it a day. Guys, that's not journalism. That's not neutral. That's complicity. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, but isn't it important to know what the other side thinks? Sure, in a courtroom, in an investigation, in an academic paper. Or if you think, oh, well, Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady. I do agree. Patrick Mahomes is better than Tom Brady because I'm a Chiefs fan and I believe that. That's what we're talking about. That kind of stuff. But not like this. Not even when it's framed as a debate with equal weight. No. Not when the stakes are someone's dignity or someone's life. These people don't want the discussion. They want attention. They want legitimacy. And Jubilee handed it to them on a silver fucking platter. And here's the thing. These weren't anonymous nobodies. Connor, the fascist, he got fired. He got actually fired back in March. Some people say that he got fired days later from his job. In reality, he got fired before the Jubilee thing. So he was trying to scam people afterwards. But he already raised over $30,000 from his new fans. Yeah, the guy who quoted Nazi theory on camera is now crowdfunding his career. And he's done interviews. And Jubilee, well, they deleted the original video. But no. The damage, that's forever. That's already out there. That's been shared millions of times. So let me ask you, where's the accountability? Because Jubilee's not apologizing. They're not pulling the rest of the show. They're not rethinking the format. In fact, they're just laying low until the heat dies. The heat's died down. Classic tactic. Ride the outrage, cash the check, and move on. Are we supposed to just let it slide? No, we are not doing that anymore. Not here, guys. Because there's no. Don't. like I love entertainment on YouTube. I do. And I always thought that 20-1 debate was funny in sports because it's not going to affect us politically. You can have 20 people who believe Jordan's the greatest player and half in the center, one person that believes LeBron's better than Jordan. That's fine with me. Have 20 people that believe that hot dogs are better than burgers and that one person believes burgers are better than, like, that's fine. But when you put 20 fascists, and you let them spread their ideology of hatred, you are not doing us as, you are an accomplice. Because this is actually not just about the one episode neither. It's about the pattern, a system that keeps giving violent ideologies a seat at the table under the lie of balance. This is what happens when people treat fascism like a political position and not what it is, a threat to all of us. Didn't we fight a fucking World War II about this? Like, a World War, was it? Like, what are we doing here? You wouldn't put a serial abuser on a talk show with his victims and say, let's hear both sides. But that's exactly what they did. Let me take a breath because this is ridiculous. So let me be clear, and loud and clear. The people in that episode who defended authoritarianism, who push white nationalist talking points, who celebrate fascism, they don't deserve peace. They don't deserve the spotlight. And for damn sure, they don't deserve our silence. Because this is not cancel culture. This is accountability culture. And it's way fucking overdue. These people don't deserve any fucking peace. And I'll end this with this. If you ever wonder how fascism takes hold, this is how. Not through tanks and uniforms, but through platforms, through debates, through soft focused cameras and just asking questions. Through companies like fucking Jubilee saying, we're just showing both sides, when one side wants to strip the other of their rights. That's not balance. That's a betrayal. So here's what we do. Don't share the clips that amplify hate. Show their pictures of the fascists. I would love to input their names. Flood the algorithm with the voices of the people they tried to silence. Demand platforms to stop giving airtime to fascists. And remind everyone, we've seen this before. We know how this ends. And this time, we fight it while it's still just a YouTube video. It's not a law, not a militia, not a regime. Yet. Now, if you're still with me, thank you. Because this fight needs stamina. It needs people who don't get tired of calling it out. Who don't just move on when the trend shifts. Like, we need to hold the line. We say the quiet part aloud. Fascists don't deserve peace. Platforms don't deserve praise for hosting hate. And silence is not an option. So let's keep it going. Let's keep shouting. Let's keep building something better because the future depends on it. Deep breath again. Anyways. And we've been through a lot today. From Trump floating a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell, to the media spin, to the broken justice system, to platforms like Jubilee giving fascists a stage. Like, this episode has been a full confrontation with what happens when power protects itself at the expense of the peoples it harms. And I know it's heavy. It should be. Because if we walk away from this kind of story without feeling angry, disgusted, or heartbroken, then the system has already done its job. It's made us numb. But here's the thing. We still have power. We can still push back. And I don't mean just tweeting about it or posting on Instagram that stuff matters too at one point. I mean calling things what they are. I mean refusing to play nice with people who think trafficking children is negotiable or that fascism deserves a mic. I mean refusing to platform those who would see people like me, an immigrant, a teacher, a veteran, a human being, as disposable. And to everyone who says, oh, just ignore it, don't give them attention, I say this. Silence is what gave them the space to grow. The Epstein ring thrived because people stayed silent. The fascists on Jubilee got an airtime because people were too scared to call it what it is. And now we're watching a playbook unfold that rewards abusers, empowers extremists, and punish survivors. No fucking more. We cannot stay silent. We cannot just turn the other cheek. This is my challenge to you. Don't wait for the outrage cycle to tell you what matters. If it stinks, of injustice, speak up. If you hear someone say Maxwell deserves sympathy, say her victims deserve justice then. If you see someone platforming fascists, remind them that what happened when the last time we let hate march unchecked. We've seen this road. We know the ending, and we refuse to walk it again. And I'm going to say to every survivor listening, to every immigrant, every journalist, every person who's been told their life is up to debate, you matter to me, and you matter. You are seen, you deserve safety, and you deserve the truth. And to those who use power to protect predators, to those who play games with justice, to those who think hate deserves airtime, we see you too. And we're not afraid to call you what you are. You don't deserve peace. Not until there's justice. So we got to keep going. We got to stay loud. We got to stay awake, stay angry. Because as long as they're out here broadcasting fascism and floating pardons for traffickers, we got work to do. And we're just getting started. And I'm going to repeat this again. Jeffrey Epstein, child trafficker and rapist. Ghislaine Maxwell, child trafficker, rapist. Donald Trump, trafficker and rapist. There's no ifs and buts. Anyways, thank you for listening for my emergency episode. We got to stay loud, and you guys have to stay safe. I'll see you next time. Until then, like I said, stay loud, stay safe.